No idea what loss is.
You have no idea what loss is.
All right, so the reactions have already begun, and surprisingly, quote unquote surprisingly, the hate has already begun surrounding this teaser that we just got for this adaptation, the HBO adaptation of The Last of Us. So we got a teaser, and obviously everybody has an opinion, and I have mine. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to give you my thoughts specifically on this scene right here that you guys just saw, which is, you know, all credits to this person. As you guys can see, this is a TikTok video that I downloaded. That's the creator, so all credits due to that person. I'm going to be responding to the negativity surrounding that specific scene, but in general, I'm going to give my thoughts to the teaser as a whole. And if you like that type of content, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. So I was very surprised at the level of negativity that a lot of people, you know, responded with to this teaser. So I wanted to say a few things. The first thing that I wanted to point out is we haven't even seen the series yet. Like, I don't understand how people react this way to something that we haven't even seen. Not to mention the fact that the teaser that we did see is not even like a genuine teaser trailer. It's not even an actual trailer for the show. This was at the bookend of like a commercial for HBO Max. And at the end, they showed a little clip for The Last of Us. The music that we have in that teaser, it's not even the music from the show itself, but rather it's the music from the commercial for HBO Max. So we haven't even seen a proper trailer yet. And we're already having opinions about how this looks. To me, it's crazy. Like, to me, I don't understand how we can be so negative about something that we have yet to even see. So that's my initial reaction is that we need to stop being so critical of things, especially things that we have yet to see, right? Let's wait for the finished product. Let's get into it and then form our opinion. So that's the first point I wanted to make. The second point is specifically about this scene, because I was very surprised when I saw this TikTok video and I looked at all the comments and everybody was saying, wow, how terrible is the adaptation? Like, how terrible is Pedro Pascal in comparison to the actual scene from the game itself by Troy Baker? And my initial reaction was, I mean, they are very different. Just looking at his facial expressions, right? I wanna see if I can just look at those facial expressions in Joel from the game itself. Like, there's a lot of range in there, his eyes especially. Like, that is incredible. It really is incredible. Troy Baker did an incredible job there. And then you compare that with Pedro Pascal, and it's almost expressionless in terms of his facial expressions. And the tone of the voice is just, you don't see that pain that you see in you know, Joel's eyes in the game. You don't see that anger. Like, it's like, just look at that right there. Look at that anger in Joel in the game, the video game adaptation, compared to him. He's basically just like, just looking at this image without any context about of Pedro Pascal, you would not know what he's supposed to be feeling at that moment. So I do recognize that aspect, but I wanted to highlight two things. One, this is an adaptation. All right, and that's something that we have to accept as fans of the video game. This is an adaptation. We have different set of writers, directors, actors. There's a different vision involved in this. It's not going to be a one-to-one recreation of what we experience in the video game. That's very important, because this scene, even though there's a lot of room for criticism, which I just mentioned, right? I just highlighted those aspects. This is a scene that we're taking completely out of context. We don't even know when exactly this scene occurs in the series itself, because again, it's not a one-to-one recreation. So this scene has the potential to be more powerful once we understand what this version of Joel is. Once we understand these directors and writers' vision of what who these characters are. Once we get in line with Pedro Pascal's version or adaptation of Joel, then maybe we can appreciate more these sorts of scenes. We're just comparing two different adaptations, two different versions, two different interpretations of a character of a scene, and there isn't a one-to-one comparison. It's an adaptation, and I know that a lot of people are resistant to that. There's going to be changes in the series that we're probably not going to like as fans of the game, But we have to understand that that's the nature of making a completely different medium, which is series, TV, very different from video games. So I wanted to highlight that aspect to it. It's an adaptation. It's going to be different. It's not, if we want the same thing, then just go play the game. Don't watch the series then. It's going to be different. All right, is it better? Is it worse? I have to wait and see. I have to watch this scene in context. I have to wait and see. So that's my opinion on that aspect. But the last point that I wanted to highlight, I think this is the most important thing that sometimes people don't understand. We're talking about a video game, all right? And these animations that we're seeing right here are handmade, all right? They're made in a computer to look in a specific way. This isn't like an exact recreation of Troy Baker, which is the actor, for those that don't know, who voiced, Joel in The Last of Us, in The Last of Us Part 2. This isn't exactly how Troy Baker looks. All right. This is a recreation of that. He obviously there's sensors and all that stuff, but this is done by hand on a computer screen. Whereas this right here, Pedro Pascal, this is an actual human actor. We're seeing an actual person. And the reason why I say that is because in animation, whether it be animated movies or video games, characters' facial expressions especially tend to be over-exaggerated from the way we are in real life. It's easier to define these types of expressions in an animated form than it is to do that in real life. In my opinion, to be honest with you, this right here, what we're looking at in the game, when we go back and we see all the range of facial expressions, especially the mouth, like people don't tend to look like that. Not naturally, at least. We can make me force it, but it's very. I challenge somebody to try to recreate naturally what Troy Baker did, or the way Joel looks in the video game. I don't think those are natural facial expressions. I think those are slightly exaggerated expressions, and you can do that with the video game because it's animated. It's not a real human being. The one example that comes to mind is comparing the Lion King, the animated movie, with the quote unquote live action version. So I know that the live action version is still animated in a sense, it's still CGI, but it went for a much more realistic tone. So that's why it's called live action. Let's leave that for a whole nother topic. But when you compare that, that's a perfect example because, for example, the scene where Simba, he's seeing the animals, right? Basically trampling Mufasa, his father. And in the animated movie, Simba literally opens his eyes, his jaw drops, and his face gets elongated. He's surprised at he can't believe what's going on. That's his initial reaction to what's going on. And you compare that to the live action version, and it's basically just a lion looking without expressionless, basically almost expressionless. Like it's completely different. Why? Because lions in real life don't have those exaggerated expressions. A lion can't drop his jaw and open his eyes wide in surprise, at least not naturally, or at least not commonly. And of course, we can make an argument. Well, if that's the case, then you shouldn't adapt it. And if it's CG, then make it more like the animated. That's a different argument. My point is that when it comes to live action, like real human beings, you cannot compare facial expressions to an animation. In my opinion, Pedro Pascal's performance here, I would prefer to be a little more I don't know how, like a little more expression in his face. I would prefer that. Again, without context. I'm saying that without any sort of context. But it is more realistic. Like that is just how we look, right? I'm angry, I'm hurt in a way, and I'm saying you have no idea. You have no idea what pain or what loss is. I'm not saying you have no idea what, I'm not doing that because we just don't, that's not natural for human beings. All right, so this is a video game and a live action adaptation. Very different mediums, very different takes, interpretations, different directors, different writers, even though the director, Neil Druckmann is involved in this series and all of that stuff. It's just so different. So I just think that this comparison right here is not one-to-one, the way they're making it out to seem. This comparison is completely unfair. We're seeing something in a teaser, completely out of context, comparing two completely different mediums and saying one is better than the other. No, they're just different. There isn't right now. There isn't a better or worse. Once we see the series, we can compare. We say, nah, this didn't hit the same or whatever. We can criticize then. But right now, we can't say one is better than the other. We just have to admit that they're different, and we have to accept these differences because it is an adaptation of a video game. All right, an adaptation is not a one-to-one recreation. It's different. It's an adaptation. There are going to be changes. There's a different vision involved, etc., and everything that I've said in this video. So, in my opinion, my overall thoughts of this teaser, I loved it. Ellie is the one that worries me a little bit. The actress, I have to see more of her to see if if they have that connection, that father-daughter connection between Joel and the actress that's doing Ellie. So I have to wait and see on that aspect. That's the only thing that kind of worries me. But in overall, everything we've seen so far, the tone looks great, the visuals look great. Pedro Pascal, in my opinion, like he's Joel. He's gonna do an incredible job. They're doing this with a lot of care, it seems. So I enjoyed the little teaser that we got. I have high hopes for this series. I think it's going to be one of the best, if not the best, video game adaptations that we've ever seen on screen. There's an argument for like Sonic and stuff like that, but I think this is going to be it. So those are my thoughts then. In general, those are my thoughts about this Last of Us teaser that we got. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if you like this content, remember, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Till next time.